What's up, duelists? Yesterday was Pumpking of Games 2, where two lucky people earned their invite to the RBET Rulers. I'm going to be going over the top 8 deck lists from that tournament yesterday. If you guys want to catch the action, there was some particularly incredible matches in yesterday's event. Especially, I think, Winners Finals was amazing. Grand Finals was one of the best two sets of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've ever seen. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button. You know the vibes. Let's go ahead and get right into the top 8 deck lists. Okay, at 7th place, double elimination, there's two people at 7th place. This is MC Eagles fan with Lightsworn. There are a few pretty interesting inclusions in this deck. First off, MC Eagles fan is on the spell recursion, so no beckoning, double avarice, double reincarnation, triple hamster, triple celestia. So it's a very hamster value focused version of Lightsworn. Only one Lila, only one Jane. I personally like playing a lot of copies of Lila in today's metagame, but it worked out very well for MC Eagles fan, and he was able to get to top 8. Cool inclusions in the sideboard. Double Shiny Black Sea for the Blackwings and Vayu decks that were, I should say, everywhere. And then one Gigantes to banish either Hamster or Shiny Black Sea. Just an extra copy of Heavy Storm, really. Also got Royal Oppression, Soul Release, one Smashing Ground, one Lightning Vortex, just some versatile removal, catch-all removal. DD Crows, Cyber Dragons, the classic, and a couple of Trap Stun, which is another copy of Cold Wave in some matchups. Not maining the Space Typhoon, not maining the second Lila, so relying a lot on these Raikos and the Hamsters and the Celestias for backer removal, which isn't honestly the worst thing. Main deck Book of Moon to combo with the flip effects. Pretty solid list altogether. Pretty solid list. I'm a fan. Congrats to MC Eagles for getting a top 8 performance with this deck. Okay, next top 8 deck, Hero Frog from Karina. This deck, very cool, very cool. You got the one Malicious Edge for pierce damage. You got the Double Ocean. Double Ocean, very powerful in these types of decks because it's a water you can pitch for Swap Frog. And it's also both sides of the equation for your Miracle Fusion and an E-Call target. So it allows you to play the E-Call, basically. We've got one Junk Synchron. This is a tech I've been liking a lot in Frogs lately. Junk Synchron with Swap Frog creates kind of an infinite wall situation. The way it works is Junk Synchron can bring back a Swap Frog, and even though Swap Frog's effects are negated, you can still activate them. So you can pay the cost for Swap Frog's effect, bounce the Junk Synchron back to your hand, and create an infinite wall. Also, there's a lot of other unique instances in which Junk Synchron adds up to a lot of different advantage, like bringing back Dupe Frog searching your other cards, etc., etc. Main deck Book of Moon, very interesting. Got double Soul Exchange, pretty powerful in this deck. You've got triple sub, triple Ryza, triple Caius, and even Malicious Edge and Gores to take use of the Soul Exchanges. No enemy controllers, but 2 instant fusions to bring out Elemental Hero Mariner, which is a cool combo. The instant fusion can provide you with a tribute fodder for one of your cards, either Subsitoad or Ryza for the turn 1 combo, and it can also provide you for a water or a hero in your grave for your Miracle Fusion. So it fills 2 roles in this deck. I really like this inclusion from Karina. I think it's a very, very smart inclusion in this deck list. Congrats to Karina for getting top 8. Okay, next deck. We've got to talk about Diva Zombies. Jake XO got top 8 with Diva Zombies. Triple Diva, double Book of Life, maining the Future Fusion. Future Fusion to Sam Malicious plus Diva. This looks pretty similar to some lists that we've seen in the past. Some Silchus Ruin lists. Main deck Dust Tornado for extra back row removal. You got to beat Oppression with this deck, so it makes sense to have that Dust Tornado. Main decking the Call of the Haunted as well. This is a card that hasn't seen a ton of play. Opting to side both Bottomless and Deep Prison in favor of combo extenders like Call of the Haunted is interesting. I do like the choice, though. Everything else seems to make sense. There's nothing really too out of the ordinary with this list. It's just your standard good stuff. The 2 skill drains on the side, very powerful against frogs. Very powerful against other things as well. So good list. Congrats to Jake XO for his top 8 performance. Next list, again, Diva Zombies, of course. We got to talk about it. Free the Manatee. Topped with Diva Zombies. This one's a little different. We got triple Turtle, double Diva. So only 2 Divas. No Future Fusion, no Malicious, no Stratos. We've got Ill Blood in the main because of the triple Turtle. This is a card that some people like, some people don't like. It's all right here. Electing to main the Bottomlesses, this time over the extra Phoenix Wing and the Dust Tornado. And he's got the Burial from the Different Dimension in the main as well to reuse Mizuki and Plague, as well as Necrogarna. I really do like Necrogarna in this deck, particularly if you have Ill Blood, or if you have cards that you can take advantage of being in play multiple turns in a row. So I really do like Necrogardner in this deck. This is a card that I think is slept on a little bit and probably should be played a little bit more in these types of zombie synchro decks. Sideboard, he has double Sirocco's for Blackwing, which is a counter strat, and he's got Kaiku to counter other people's crows, as well as 3 crows of his own and a soul release. A lot of graveyard hate. This came up for him big in the tournament when we were watching him play against frog decks and whatnot. Okay, next deck. We're getting into top 4. We're getting into the juicy stuff. And this next one is, it's a banger. I've probably included it in the clickbait. It's Aleph Yatu, who top 8'd with aliens. So, for those of you who don't know, this tournament, Pumpking of Games, had an incentive. The highest placing alien player got an invite to RBET Rulers. The whole point of this was to get people, thinking about a new deck. Get people practicing a new deck, get people doing things with a new strategy, maybe break the metagame wide open, who knows. However, Aleph Yatu already had his invite, so he was playing aliens just for fun, which is a psychopathic thing to do. It is truly an insane thing to do. And then on top of that, being able to get top 4, beating Blackwings, beating Vayu, beating Zombies, he beat all the best decks in the format. I think he beat Frogs too to get into top 4. He beat all the best decks in the format with this alien deck. So it goes a long way. It speaks to this list a lot. There's a lot of cool things in this list. One thing I really like was the double Evil Dragon Anansa. This card was incredible for Aleph throughout the tournament. It helped him control boards, amass card advantage, set up positions that were very favorable for him. The second thing I really liked from him was Gale Lizard. Gale Lizard is a cool card. For those of you who don't know what it does, it flips, it bounces a monster. It's got 1400, 700. But the most important part is that it's a reptile. It's a reptile, which is another target for your offering to the snake deity. So it offers you kind of a Raikou sort of effect that bounces stuff like Armed Wing, bounces stuff that can be problematic like Stardust Dragon that your deck really struggles with. This deck, as you are seeing, struggles a lot with Stardust Dragon. Ton of destruction effects, not so much banishing effects, only 1 Caius, only 1 Deprison. So Gale Lizard is a really important piece of removal there. Also, he's got the 1 Oshalion to search for the Ammonites. He's got some tech aliens, Alien Grey, Alien Overlord, Alien Telepath. None of these really came up that big for him except for the Alien Grey. Alien Overlord did some things in the tournament, but it only did things in that it comboed with Brain Control as a tribute monster a lot of the time. Most of the time, it really didn't get to live to its fullest potential, but the Alien Grey did look pretty good on camera. The 1 Alien Grey did look pretty good on camera. Having a wide variety of set monsters between Hamster, Alien Grey, Gale Lizard, Oshalion, and Raikou gave him a ton of mix-ups. At one point, he even was able to set Card Trooper to bluff out his opponent with a Torrential Tribute as well. So, really cool stuff there. Main deck knock, GOAT format classic. Very, very, very good in this style of deck because you do struggle a little bit when your opponent goes first and they set their own Raikou. You don't have a lot of ways to take tempo back into your favor outside of Ananta and Chaos Sorcerer, and sometimes these cards just are too little too late in that sense. If you're not able to get a mill off with Raikou, Ananta can be dead in your hand. So having knock, ensuring that you have the turn 1 tempo in your favor against other flip decks is pretty important. Planet Pollutant Virus, 1 in the main, 1 in the side. This card was very good for him throughout the tournament. I am not surprised to see it being mained. I am not surprised to seeing it have tournament success. Of course, Cosmic Fortress Golgare was insane every time it was summoned. The sideboard has some interesting cards. 1 Prohibition, 1 Messenger of Peace for decks that you just need to hate out. I did not see him activate Prohibition or Messenger of Peace the entire tournament, but would have been kind of cool to see. Another thing is the Starlight Robe was in the side. We didn't see this activated the whole tournament. I think if he were to play this deck moving forward, he might want to main the Starlight Road because there were a lot of circumstances where his opponent just heavied his 3 back row and he lost. Where if they had known he was on Starlight Road, or if they had seen Starlight Road, or if there was at least the threat of Starlight Road, they might not have done it. So there's a lot of stuff with that. Swords of Revealing Light was also great for him too. Really cool deck. Really, really cool deck. Very impressive performance. One thing that I would definitely change about this deck moving forward is I would get a magical android in the extra deck. Because you make level 5s very frequently with Ammonite, and magical android's actually pretty good in a lot of circumstances where you might not want Catastor or Cosmic Fortress Golgar. So I think definitely getting a magical android in the extra deck, maybe over something like Dark End Dragon. Even though you can make Dark on Dragon with Gores and Ammonite, is that going to come up more than Android? Maybe not. Maybe the second Stardust. Are you really going to make Stardust that often in this deck? I don't think so. You only have one road. You don't really synchro for 8 that effectively outside of with Gores and Ammonite, so I think the second Stardust is definitely not going to come up as much as a Magical Android, which is going to be one of your go-to plays. So a few changes could be made to this deck, but overall, really impressive performance from Alafia2, outplaying a lot of his opponents, outskilling a lot of people, and just piloting a really unique and innovative list to top 4 performance. Congrats to Alafia2. Okay, next list. Getting into the top 3. We've got Dragon Glarbo from Ghost Rider 15. Now, if you guys haven't already gone back and watched the VOD of the tournament, then I won't spoil exactly why he got 3rd place, but you definitely need to catch that match because that match was insane. A lot of interesting inclusions in this Glarbo deck. We've got 3 Reckless Greed in the main. This is a card that I think is bad in this deck, but apparently not. Ghost Rider swears by it, even though we saw him lose multiple games because he was reckless locked on camera. He thinks it's a good enough card to include in the deck, so you got to stand by it. In the side deck, you've got a lot of hateful cards. Triple Mask of Restrict for Frogs, just saying, fuck it. Double Light Mirror for Lightsworn, double Bottomless, or not Bottomless, sorry, Royal Decree. I don't know why I'm thinking Bottomless. I'm thinking Bottomless because we were talking about what he could side for Blackwings. And I was thinking, just side Bottomless. I mean, Bottomless is good. They're going to side out their spell and trap removal against this deck anyway. So just side in your Bottomlesses. Just Bottomless their guy and then beat them. Pretty much. In any case, pretty straightforward everything. Double Cyber Dragon going up from 1 to 2. I'm not sure if that's correct. You could probably more accurately utilize this sideboard slot than having 2 Cyber Dragons. The main deck is pretty straightforward. It looks like Turbo decks that we've seen before. Foolish was interesting. It was able to send Whitestone and search Blue Eyes, set up for the Debris Dragon plays, etc. It was pretty good for him throughout the tournament. That was one of the cards that I thought was a good inclusion. The extra deck is pretty straightforward. The Mariner is to play around Bottomless with Instant Fusion. So you can go, Instant Fusion, bring out Mariner, synchro into Bryonic, and then use Bryonic effects with priority. The issue with the inclusion of Mariner is that when you synchro with Bryonic, if you have Blue Eyes White Dragon in your deck still, then, or when you, not synchro with Bryonic, but synchro for Bryonic with Whitestone, if you have Blue Eyes White Dragon in your deck still, you won't get priority to activate Bryonic, so they'll just Bottomless your Bryonic. So I don't know. I don't know about the Mariner inclusion. That might just end up needing to be something else. It might just be a 5-star that also gets under Bottomless, and then additionally also is something you can summon if Drago's in play for some reason. That does come up, but might want to consider something else in that slot. Double Darkfire as a way for your instant fusion to help you special summon Red Med at least twice throughout the game. And then, of course, Tempest Magician for the burnout, Exploder Dragon Wing, for the combo kills and whatnot. A lot of cool stuff. In this deck list. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of this deck list. I think it's good. I think it's a good deck list. Reckless Greed aside, I think it's a powerful deck that people need to start respecting more, and people need to honestly consider either playing this deck or a sideboard plan for dealing with this deck, because it's a scary deck. It's a scary deck. Maybe have that Mind Crush in your sideboard in the 15th slot so that you can snipe those Red Eyes Darkness Metals when they go for the big Trunade play. Okay, second place, getting into the real heat, real heat. Mr. Sultai. Mr. Sultai got second place. Pardon me, I need to cough real quick. Okay, we're back. Sultai got second place with his very innovative Hero Frog deck. Very, very innovative. The reason I like this deck a lot is because you've got Moray of Greed, which is basically an upstart goblin that lets you shuffle back your bricks. And then you've got Double Ocean and you've got Salvage. So you've got a lot of ways to set up for that. The reason I don't like this list is that you only have 4 Monarchs. And this definitely came up for him. He didn't have enough gas to come back into the game consistently enough when he started falling behind. A lot of times in the... Well, I'm not going to spoil too much. You guys should just watch the games for yourself. I think moving forward, there might be some consideration for including a second copy of Ryza somewhere in here. Now, I'm not exactly sure where because this list is very tight, but maybe over one Threatening Roar, maybe over the Mirror Force, something like that. I do think you want a second copy of Ryza in this deck. I think you want at least 5 Monarchs when playing a deck like this. Yes, Moray makes it a little bit more consistent. Yes, Ecall means you're seeing Stratos, you're thinning your deck, etc. But definitely want a 5th Monarch in here. I think 4 is just too few. Overall, incredibly cool deck list. I love the way the engines interact with each other between Stratos for Ocean, and then you can Moray back maybe your dead Dupe Frog, your dead Flip Flop with the Ocean you just got, draw into a fresh new hand, cycle through your deck. I really like that, and I also really like using Salvage with Elemental Hero Ocean as a way to present repeatable threats. Very, very cool. Sideboard, little questionable. The Swallow Flips, not really a card I would recommend ever, but I do like the Karma Cuts. They looked very good for him, and I do like this Burial. Both him and Karina were citing this to combat big Soul Release or DD Crow on the Treeborn Frogs, basically just as a way to get your Treeborn Frogs back in the grave. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but it definitely worked out well for them in this tournament. Okay, first place deck. This one's heat. And I got to shout out, first off, before we go check out the list, I got to shout out the players in Sweden, because the players in Sweden right now are killing it. J4 and, of course, Theodore, the first place list with Blackwing hybrid deck. This is a nasty looking deck list. This is a deck where it's like, I am going to OTK you, and there's nothing you can do about it because I have double Noblemen in the main. So this is a deck that focuses entirely on the aggression of the Blackwing monsters. It focuses on shoving damage as quickly as possible. We saw Theodore in multiple instances in the tournament just summon a guy and then special summon 2 other guys and just full send. At every instance he was just summoning his whole hand and just saying, I gotta attack. And it paid off. This deck is built to attack. You've got double Dark Eruption to come back after you've burnt resources. You've got triple Icarus. You've got double Nobleman in the main to help play through back row. And then you've got Heavy Storm and Space Typhoon as well. So you have 7 ways to start breaking through your opponent's back row. And then you can use the Vayu, Sirocco, Greffer, whatever, Dark Arm follow-up, Blizzy follow-up to have insane pushes after your opponent's on low resource. So this is a very, very powerful deck list. And also, one thing with double elimination, which is, the downside to double elimination is if you lose early, you have to play significantly more rounds than your opponents. Theodore lost, or Todor, or however you pronounce his name. It is spelled differently on both Dueling Book and here. But he lost in round 1. So he had to go 12-0 after losing round 1 to win this tournament, and he did. He became the first person to win an Edison major tournament through a bracket reset, which is incredible. That's just insane. He's the first person to ever do it. And not only did he do it, but he did it from losers round 1. So he absolutely slogged through some of the hardest opponents I've ever seen. Double eliminated Mr. Sultai in the grand finals. I was able to get first place with this hyper aggressive Blackwing list. Double Nobleman in the main is very aggressive, because you're saying if you flip Royal Oppression, I don't even care that it's a -1. I'll play through that Royal Oppression. You just want to clear the bottom list that badly. This deck basically gets to play extra copies of Space Typhoon because you don't care if your opponent's on Royal Oppression, and it's just an absolutely disgusting list to have to face down because of how fast it is and how easily it can pick apart your board at, main phase speed or whatever. They don't need to set up too many trap cards or whatever. In the sideboard, he's got double Royal Decree. This is for the mirror match. So in the mirror match, you just go pure offense, and you bring in the decrees and you lock up their trap cards. Decree also pretty insane against, Gladiator Beasts. In this deck, you have high value monsters. If you can lock up their Chariot, then you just beat them on board. So Decree plus like Sirocco is very, very devastating against a deck like Gladiator Beast. Pretty scary. If this is the standard for this deck moving forward, people are going to have to, really dig deep and think about how they can beat this deck, because we saw it lose. We saw this deck lose. I mean, Alafia 2 beat a very similar list to this with his Alien deck in the tournament, but this is going to be a tough list to face. I'm already looking at him like Double Nobleman definitely shores up a lot of the issues that this deck was facing before. So something to think about. And of course, I got to show you guys a bonus list. A bonus list that I really liked from this tournament was 9th place, almost getting into top 8. Ryanide was playing Machina Gear Plant, which is super cool. This is a really cool list. It's his take on sort of the Gear Town Carpath style decks with Black Garden, and Kuraz, but instead of Kuraz, he's opting to go for the full Machina package. He just barely missed out on top 8, but this list is fire, dude. Triple Debris Dragon to guarantee that you'll get the Ancient Fairy. One of the most powerful Ancient Fairy decks is this deck. You've got Neospatian Grand Mole as a way to deal with opposing threats, set monsters like Raikou, cards that can be annoying. The Ancient Gears and the Machina Fortress, as well as the limiter removal, present very fast clocks, so you're not really worried about facing decks like Dragon Turbo. You're not really worried about facing stuff like that. And, yeah, I don't know. This deck's just heat. One thing that Ryan and I did say in his post-game chat with me is that he was a little bit underprepared for the zombie matchup. He didn't really know how to play against it. And so his 2 losses were to the 2 top 8 zombie players. And if you can shore up the zombie matchup, Ryan and I, I'm sure that you can get top 8 in the future. This deck looks very cash money. I'm a big fan of everything that's going on here. It looks very aggressive. It looks very powerful. You can slow down the game with Black Garden, or you can speed it up with limiter removal. You've got Titaniel to deal with Monarchs. You've got Debris Dragon to reset the board with Black Rose. You've just got all of the tools you need to deal with all of the problems that Edison format presents you. You just got to figure out your sideboarding in certain matchups and stuff like that. Sideboard looks solid. All of it looks solid. Very, very fire stuff. In any case, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you guys like this kind of stuff. If you guys like the tournaments this year that I've thrown. And, of course, November 19th is going to be RBET Rulers. There were 2 invites. Sunny got the invite for being the highest placing alien player that didn't already have their invite, and Theodore got his invite. And of course, Mr. Sultai, I ran a gambit with him, so he got his invite as well. If you guys don't know about that, join the Discord and ask there. There was a lot of stakes on a coin flip. I will say that much. We were in some DGen gambling hours, and I gambled an invite for. You guys will see. You guys will see it if you join the Discord. In any case, subscribe. Like the video, you know what's up. Join me for the tournament RBET Rulers on November 19th. All the best players who have been competing at their peak this year in Edison format will be competing in that event there. And join us for Deck Devastators 2 in the EdisonFormat.com Discord on November 12th. I believe that tournament is free to enter and open invite. So see you guys there. I will be competing in it as well. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Signing off. Peace.